So I want to just talk about something that has been on my mind for years, um, regarding work in America, like a job, career, and actually more concretely to like the essence of what I'm trying to get at. It would actually be so I wanted to talk about success, right, and hard work. Um, you see, okay, growing up, I've had ADHD since I was a kid, like 9 or 8 years old or before that, and I was a horrible student, pretty much all the way from like kindergarten to high school. And then I did good in college and studied chemistry and became that. But and I know I had to work hard for that. It wasn't easy. I had to put in. I had to be disciplined, not just motivated. You know, it was really like college was the first time in my life where I was like, okay, you need to be disciplined. Because like I said, I got horrible grades since I was in kindergarten. Like literally like D's and F's. I wasn't supposed to pass eighth grade, but because I went to private school, they kind of swept it under the rug. We don't have state exams to, pass us. So, anyways, throughout that whole time in elementary and middle school, I was actually kind of an outcast. I was known as like the kid who would go out in recess and like pick up bugs and try to show it to people, whatever. I was a nature enthusiast, and it wasn't just because of that I would get ripped on. I was just different, and I would act different. I was always like very fantastical in my ideas and thinking, and I would always like talk about really cool ideas, and people just weren't for it. Like it kind of, now looking back on it, it seems like everybody was kind of like just like scared of like how much different I was in my thinking. And but yeah, people just did not like take to me that nicely. It was like pretty common thing to like talk about me in a derogatory way in elementary and middle school. And yeah, like I said, I got D's, F's, C's, and I had always thought to myself, like this recurring mantra almost that would like always go in the back of my head. I would just think, man, and it was especially like when people would like kind of start to address that about me. They're like, oh well, you have bad grades, blah blah blah, you know. Then they would talk about other things in their life, right? And they'd be like, well, yeah, Angel, well, you know that I do karate outside of school too. And then they'll be like, yeah, but I actually went to championships at a state level, knowing that like I hadn't done that. Yeah, and this is just an example, but there was many things of this like that happened to me, many conversations or arguments with other peers, and they would be like, oh yeah, well you're never gonna know what that feels like because you don't work hard. And see, like that was like, it's like everybody kind of knows that person that's like trying to constantly drill it into your head that like you don't know what hard work is. Like hard work is what got me here. Like this is why I have good grades, and I've sacrificed so much, and like I haven't seen you sacrifice anything. Like that's how I know you're not doing shit. That was a lot of I've heard a lot of that, throughout my time in school. But I'd always think to myself like, no wonder you're a dick. Like you're fucking picking on somebody who has like a good outlook on life, and you're just pissed because you're like, that's not my reality. My reality is that I have to fucking go home and do hours of homework and can't play anything until I do that. And whereas like my parents always kind of like were a little, they didn't enforce that much. But I still turned out all right. I did get in trouble, but it was like rarely ever enforced. And I could see that there was a lot of kind of disdain that a lot of these students had, knowing that like that's the home that I go to, that I go home to every day. And it was true. Like, like people would like with saying it without saying it, they would like mention like how like, well, when you get home, like you don't know about this because like your mom doesn't do that. And I remember a lot of people making comparisons, saying like, Angel, no, like my parents are not like yours. My parents are strict, and they don't like, if I don't do something, they're gonna take this away from me, and they're gonna do it for weeks. I've had it happen before. Never really happened to me, to be honest. But I'm fortunate. I love my parents, and they've done a great job in raising me and my brother. And ultimately, I think my parents understood that I was emotionally very matured. So something like the topic of what I want to talk about today, the topic that I want to talk about today is, it's really going to be a notion more than a topic. And that notion is the folly of man is being so pissed off that you had to work so hard to get what you have. We all know that person that has like some level of success or mega success, and they just cannot stop trying to drill it into you in as many words in the English language as possible, to show you that they've worked really hard and had to sacrifice a lot, and that it sucks. And it's almost like they're on this mission to find a way to impart that feeling into others. And then, but while at the same time being like, yeah, but look at all my success, and this came from hard fucking work. You know how many years I was going door to door selling, and now I drive a Lamborghini, and it's like that kind of, that person, that persona, that behavior, that mode, that vibe. I don't know, it's just what I wanted to talk about today. That's how I see it. I see it as, well, the folly of man, at least one of them, is when we got people as humans, we have a certain type of person who typically ends up successful, right? Because it's true hard work, dedication, putting days and days in, sacrificing, putting work in when you're not motivated. That is all truly a breeder of success. Like, no one's discounting that here. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that it seems to me like, and then like, I feel like those people who I'm talking about would never admit this, but it's like, you're just pissed off that you had to work really hard and you missed out on a lot of shit, and so now you just try to like, it's like somebody that has trauma, or they're constantly talking about that thing and relating things back to that thing, that trauma. And then people are like, yo, like, how does this person always find a way to bring it back to this? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And they're everywhere. Especially, like, if you're at a job, or, like, because obviously, like, if you're working at a fucking BK, there isn't some dude being like, yo, hard work, dedication got me. Maybe to the manager. Maybe it's the managers being like, well, you know what I did? I sacrificed a lot. Blah, blah, blah. And then, like, they try to sell you this dream that, like, you can be at the same level, if not higher than them. But it's like they expect us to kind of forget that, like, there's only one of that position. So it's like, well, unless you leave or die, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, yeah, that's really the core nut of what I wanted to get to today. Just that notion that it's fucking weird. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think? Do you think I'm right that the folly of man is people that are so pissed off that they had to work so hard to get what they have? It's like, yo, first of all, I if I put in hard work for something, the last thing I'm gonna be when I finally succeed and reach that goal is pissed off and trying to preach to other people how hard I worked. Dude, that is not the way to go. Like, and so I know everybody here has, like, come across a person like this, and, like, I don't know, that when you want to help me dissect this a little bit more, if this video does well, I'm gonna just do a follow-up video. I didn't want to talk for too long, but yeah, it'd be cool. Like, just get a little discussion going in the comments, share some stories of these people, the winners. I find that so pathetic. But whatever. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, and I remembered to do it, so here we are. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and Angel out.